What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today some more Dragon Ball FighterZ for y'all. So of course I've been paying attention to the comments and I wanted to address one of the questions I get asked about a lot, which is how to deal with turtling, as it's called. If you don't know, turtling is a nickname in the FGC we have for defensive play, where you just run away and you try to punish your opponent for making mistakes. When this game came out, people thought it was kind of hard in this game because of mechanics like Super Dash, but over time people came up with strategies for defensive play. If you like this video or any of the other content I've been putting out, please consider liking this video or subscribing to the channel if you already have not, or do both. It does help the channel grow and I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so again, for those of you who don't know, turtling is referring to pretty much defensive play, waiting for the opponent to make mistakes, kind of running away while your opponent tries to either get in on you, rush you down, however they can reach you. It is not that easy to do this in Dragon Ball, actually, as a total playstyle, but there are a few things that are pretty common, even at mid or low level play, that can be pretty hard to deal with. So that's why I want to go over it in this video. So first off, why is turtling so annoying in Dragon Ball, even though we have mechanics like Super Dash to get in from basically anywhere? There are two main culprits for this. So one is how good jumping is. So jumping is pretty good. There are multiple ways you could jump to alter your momentum. You have super jump float to like this, super jump fastball, dash jump, dash super jump. You have all these ways to kind of move around in the air. Also, as I've described before, anti-airs in this game are overall pretty weak compared to other fighting games. A lot of the anti-airs you have available are either really committal, like this is 2H. So once you do this, you're pretty vulnerable if you miss. If they do anything that's not super dash and you mistime it, you're going to get hit. If you whiff, all you could do is really just vanish. On top of that, other tools that you could use for anti-air are usually Ki Blast or have some type of weakness. So for example, in Base Vegeta's case, he's got these anti-air Ki Blasts, but they could just Super Dash them. If they're scared of you, they'll block, but someone who's confident, they will pick Super Dash to check you to see whether or not you have a response for that. On top of the varied air movement as well with jumps, there are also other ways you can move. You can alter your air momentum with normals, like jump too heavy. In Vegeta's case, not every character has a specific one, but most characters have a normal like this. Or you could travel different ways in the air depending on your moveset. So in the case of Base Vegeta, he has this rocket kick that sends him full screen. Trunks here has EX flip, which, you know, you can move it up, you can move it down. Trunks also has a JS that kind of halts his air momentum. And on my team last would be Broly, so he has this up grab that can also be used for movement. He moves forward and up, so he can change his air momentum. A lot of characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ have multiple ways to change their air momentum, so it makes it hard to anti-air. Now, your initial reaction would be to just Super Dash, but Super Dash is not air unblockable, and when you Super Dash up at them, you bounce off them. So even though you're plus, you kind of just put yourself in a guessing situation. Slightly advantageous to you. It does depend on the character, whether or not they have something big enough to reach you or something like that. But Super Dash does not necessarily beat this type of movement. So what kind of characters are good at this? I picked a bunch. I picked 6 here, obviously, 3 vs 3. But characters who are good at playing lane, but for different reasons. So we have like Frieza here. Frieza has a really good Ki Blast and anti-air Ki Blast as well. So it's pretty hard to play around his zoning game. He also has really good projectiles like the Pizza Cutter that he can crouch under. We've seen Frieza players play really well defensively over the past 2 seasons. SSJ Vegeta, a classic anchor in this game, still a good anchor. He's similar to SSJ, Goku, and a lot of other characters in that the Ki Blast is really good. And uniquely to him, he's got an air DP, so you specifically cannot Super Dash at him because he could hit you out of your Super Dash and get a combo. So it's actually pretty hard to approach him when he's playing really lame like this. On top of that too, he does have movement options we described before, like the rocket kick. 21 is another good one. She controls a lot of the screen. She's got big normals and the 2S that's pretty hard to hit. You can't just casually Super Dash at her as well. Now, on the other hand, we don't normally think of Bardock as a lame character, but his Ki Blast does do the job. He does travel really fast too, so he can traverse the screen as he wants. And he has an air level 3, so similarly to characters like SSJ Vegeta, if you Super Dash at him when he has meter, he can stop you with the level 3. Yamcha is another one. It's mostly because of his ki blast, so he's another fast character that generally actually wants to be in on you, so he can mix you up. But with his ki blast moving backwards, it makes it kind of hard to navigate. And if you super dash recklessly, he's going to 2H you. It's very, very easy to do. Kibu is another character you wouldn't think of necessarily as a lame character, but he can be played defensively. He's very small. He has a bunch of ways to move around the air, so he can stop himself with his ki blast or jump down to the ground with his mystic ball. So of course there are more examples than that character-wise, but these are just some examples of characters who can play well defensively and also giving you an idea of what to look for in a character in case you want to do that or you're looking for a strategy to beat that. Okay, now what do we do about this type of playstyle? So the first thing, and I gotta keep it real, is it is gonna be a little bit about your character. Does your character have tools that will help you fight this, right? So the characters that are really, really good at fighting this are characters who can control a large amount of the screen, or characters that have anti-airs that aren't just 2H. Not only that, but it doesn't have to be whatever character you have on point. It could be assists. Again, this is why GT Goku is so beloved in the Dragon Ball FighterZ scene, because he is really, really good at stopping this super defensive, jumpy, runaway type of playstyle. If they're not moving in a meaningful way, they will run into his assists. This is also why people like DP assists like Adult Gohan, Teen Gohan, and also Cooler, because they all have assists that lets you super dash and get heavy advantage by calling the DP and forcing them to the ground. Now, another thing to think about too is, does your character have tools specifically, so not even just assists, but your character has tools to catch people who play like this? Over time, the game has added characters that have tools that are good at catching jumps and runaway. So I picked a few here for different reasons. You'll have to think about what your character can do and try to come up with a plan on your own. So in Super Broly's case, he has a bunch of things. He has the high reaching 2L. He's got the eraser blow that goes up. He specifically also can play defensively pretty well too, because he's got a pretty good ki blast. So he can deal with this and force people down to the ground. 16 is a pretty classic one because he just has up grab. This carried me when the game came out for sure. I thought this was a really, really, really strong tool. I still think it's a really strong tool. The main thing being in that it's fast and you have to just not be there or hit him somehow. If they're blocking, he'll just grab you out of the air. Now, this is kind of circling back to the beginning of the video, but a lot of characters have moves like this. Ki blasts that go up and or cover higher ranges on the screen. Again, they do lose the super dash, but you see them just kind of floating or jumping around. You could try to use them to force people down to the ground. Now, our good friend Piccolo here has a couple of things he could do. He could use this anti-air 3S. When I was using him, I made judicious use of this. I thought this move was really good for bringing people down. He also has orbs which track, so these are ki blasts too, but once they're out, they're kind of persistent, right? So it's pretty hard to super dash at him after he does that. The opponent usually has to do something to clear the screen, like a beam or waste an assist or something, so it is a really, really strong tool. Now, Yamcha is kind of an example of you could just play lane back. So I did mention him before, the 2S, but if you're playing defensively too, you can try to use Gale Claws for if they get impatient and try to super dash at you while you're in the air. And of course, our good old boy, Trunks. Trunks is really good. He has Change of Future to bring them down. It has a huge hitbox. It's pretty fast, and usually the opponent needs a specific response to deal with this. If they're running away with Ki Blast, the way SSJ Vegeta or SSJ Goku would, you would just blast them, and you should be able to combo. Now, don't forget, while these characters all have unique tools of their own, one thing to definitely remember is that even if they are doing something like this, eventually they have to come down with something. So if your character doesn't have a tool that specifically like goes up for the air or brings them down to the ground really easily, or if you don't have an assist available, you could just try to position yourself and wait for them to land and try to cover the landing with a move like a Ki Blast or something. Okay, hopefully that helps. These are just some things that I try to do that should probably help you. Defensive play in this game is pretty rough to deal with because it's not so much about dealing with some type of specific move like in other games where like a character has a really good projectile or something. It's usually more about dealing with defensive movement more than anything else. So it could be or seem really hard to deal with, especially with how strong jumping is in general. Being able to deal with jumps well is definitely a sign of a really strong Dragon Ball FighterZ player. So again, I hope this helped. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.